one of Twitch's first streamers in 2011 to a full-time streamer in 2025, I've learned a few things about desk setups and the right equipment. So today I'm going to walk you through what I use, why I use it, and why I think that this is pretty much a perfect setup.
First up, let's talk about the desk. I love standing desks, and that brings me to today's sponsor, FlexiSpot. They sent me the E7 Pro standing desk, and being someone who's used standing desks for a long time, I can confidently say this is the best that I've ever used. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So, as you can see, I have a very big one, 72 inch by 30 inch, and down here are the controls. You can make it go up and you can make it go down, but I pre-program my spots. So there's my standing spot that it's going to go up to. Being a tall Giga Chad, it has to go pretty darn high for me, and this is by far the highest and lowest that any desk that I've owned has been able to achieve. So if we go underneath here in a moment and take a look at it, we are going to see that this has some really great coverings for its motors. You can see here, this is a little magnetic strip that goes over the cords that allow it to go up and down, as well as this rack for sorting your wires. This has helped my cable management immensely. This is a gigantic rack compared to other brands where I was able to fit on so many cords that I use for all the various computer peripherals that I have in here. Absolutely love that cord management. And as you can see, I also have it so it can go back down into seating mode. It's just a wonderful desk to start off with and plenty of room for whatever you're going to do. Now, I know that I keep a pretty minimal desk setup, but this desk has a load capacity of 440 pounds. So no matter what you're going to use it for, it is going to be able to endure it. For keyboards, over the years, I've tried just about everything. So, I mean, I kind of started out when I went to Korea and started getting better gear with the QSEN DT35. This is still very, very popular amongst StarCraft players in Korea. Probably still the most popular keyboard. And for like $10, it makes sense. This is definitely a high-end keyboard as far as functionality for StarCraft. It feels good. And it's pretty good overall. I think there is the problem, of course, that it has the number pad on there. Maybe they're going to make a 10 keyless version. I heard that they did. But I think that you should not use a long keyboard with a number pad. You should try to get a microboard, at least a 10 keyless board, so that you don't have to spread it way out next to the mouse pad. Like, you can get used to playing with your arms way apart like that, but I don't see the point in that. You know, I optimize for comfort and making everything feel natural. You know, I've played for like 27 years at a good level, and I hope to continue to do that forever. And part of that is optimizing the comfort. Now, as far as other boards go, I've used a lot of very, very good boards. Like, this is the new Pulsar one. I believe this has magnetic switches in it. It's a very good board, no doubt. This is the Razer Huntsman version 3 Pro, and it's a great board as far as the mechanical board goes. I had a custom one for a long time that I really liked as well. And any of these boards are going to do a good job for you, but the one that I keep coming back to after all of these years is the Nizplum Micro 84. This is an unbelievably good board. It's Topre switches, which are basically in between just the regular plunger switches of the old DT35 and the mechanical switches of just any mechanical board. It's a much lighter sound, right? Can't really hear that, whereas way, way lighter than that, but I don't really care about the sound that much, although I do prefer it to be a bit lighter. The feel of the presses is very, very nice on one of these boards. And in fact, this particular board has an actuation force of only like 35 grams, so it's a very soft, easy key press. And when you're doing over 200 actions per minute, sometimes 300 actions, 400 actions per minute, with most of those being on the keyboard, having a very light key press is important. This board feels great. I've never met someone that's used this board that doesn't think it is a superior board for playing StarCraft 1 with. I would say that I would probably use this for just about any game. I know that there are some hardware advantages in StarCraft 2 because of high repeat rates and stuff for certain boards. So if you want to hold your button down to produce a million Zerglings at once in StarCraft 2, then that might not be the board for you. But this is the one that I keep coming back to, and I think I'm going to use it forever. Up next, let's talk about mouse and mousepad. So, as far as mousepads go, I really prefer artisan mousepads. You can see this is a little bit worn at this point. This is actually my third artisan. I've used the Zero, the Hien, and now this is the Raiden. The artisan pads stick to your desk really, really well without any sort of like adhesive or anything. They're very, very smooth, very nice. Obviously, they have the different roughnesses and everything. I think that having just a smooth mouse experience is very, very good. I don't know. Things get labeled like control and speed and stuff like that, and it's like I, I, I feel like a lot of that is a bit over marketed. I don't really quite get it. It's more about just having the smooth feel as you move across. As far as the exact smoothness of the pad, obviously that's going to go to your preference. But one thing that I have changed is with the Raiden, I switched to this from the Hien. The Hien is a little bit rougher, and I use the Hien because I thought it dialed in very well. This is an older mouse. I don't use this right now. But you can notice that I've replaced the mouse skates. I've used these Super Glides for a long time. These are, in my opinion, the best mouse skates you can get for a mouse. But it does get a little bit pricey getting Super Glides every time you're going to get a new mouse, especially if a mouse breaks. It can be really annoying to have those shipped in. And these are actually a little bit too fast in combination with the Raiden, in my opinion. So when I switched from using the Super Glides all the time into just the mouse feet that come with the mouse, I got the slightly faster Raiden mouse pad, and it was basically the same exact thing. So I think that mouse feet and mouse pad have a lot to do with each other as far as that goes. Now, as far as the actual mouse itself goes, I've used just about everything. The amount that I have spent and tried on mice over the years is honestly a bit embarrassing. I've really tried to zero in on getting the best mouse. And again, I think that there's a lot of marketing stuff that goes on with that like is not necessarily needed. Like you don't need 35,000 DPI or whatever these numbers are getting to. As far as like really light mice go, yeah, I mean, you can get a light mouse. I prefer to have a slightly lighter mouse. But a lot of these lighter mice are getting really small in your hand. And you don't want your hand to cramp. It really kind of depends on the way that you hold your mouse and the size of your hand. But for instance, very few RTS players will use an actual fingertip grip where no part of your palm hits. That is a very rare grip in the RTS scene. And in fact, a palm grip is very rare as well. That's more in FPS games. For RTS players, it's almost always a claw grip, which is in between, where you're using a lot of your fingertips, but some part of your palm will probably hold the back of the mouse. So I think that you should get a mouse that fits in your hand correctly for your grip. If you have to scrunch up because the mouse is small, I don't think that that is a good idea at all. You want to, again, kind of maximize for feeling comfortable with the mouse, and trying to make sure that your hand actually fits correctly and you're not straining yourself. So I think a lot of the smaller super light mice are probably not the right ones for a lot of people. I've gone back towards larger mice over the last few years here. Another thing that I've done is I've gone away from the wireless mice. These mice are amazing. Like this is the Razer Viper Pro version 2. One of the best mice I've ever used. I really prefer Razer optical switches in the actual buttons. They feel fantastic. It feels unbelievably accurate. And I have never had one wear down. I have the Razer Viper Mini from when it was launched, and I can still use it to this day. Just really, really high quality switches. So I do prefer the Razer optical switches more, but every single wireless mouse I've used over the years, they die after about a year. That's it. They just stop working. Something goes wrong with them, and it's become quite annoying. So I've actually, at this point, gone back to wired mice. And honestly, like the cords that they make with these wired mice, are unbelievably light. I can't tell the difference using the super light cord that's on these mice. Like this is the Razer Cobra because they got rid of the Viper line and now it's Cobra, whatever. But I really can't tell with the cord. And you get one of the corded mice for like $35 to $50 and a wireless mouse for like 200 to 300. So maybe you really like the wireless and you want to go with that, but I find that the wired mice basically never die, are way cheaper, and you can't tell the difference as long as you get a mouse bungee. My mouse bungee is just a cheap one I got off Amazon. It's magnetic. It can hold 2 cords. I don't know what you would ever hold as the second cord, but I just utilize that and it works perfect for me. All right, so how do I hear things? There's a few different ways. First off, I have a couple of really crappy Amazon's Basics speakers on my desk. That's like, I don't use speakers very much at all, but occasionally you do need them to like show someone something on your computer. You really don't want to put something in. But I honestly don't use them much. So that's probably the one thing that would be very easily upgradable in my set. But because I don't use them, I really don't care. When I'm doing work that's not on the stream or like playing the game a lot, I'll use just regular ear pods from Apple. They're the only things that will stay in my ears. Very, very comfortable, and they never fall out when I'm talking, unlike regular earbuds. As far as the main headset goes, I was sponsored by Corsair for a number of years a long time ago. And, as that sponsorship ran out and I started trying new products, I never found anything better than these. These are the Corsair Virtuoso XT headphones. These are the most comfortable that I have ever tried. They sound excellent. The ear cups are giant. I have really big ears, and my ears do not touch the sides. They do not touch the inside. The head part is super, super comfortable. I've actually replaced these like foam pieces like 3 times over the course of like 6 or 7 years or something. Or I don't know if it was 3 times, 2 times or 3 times. And they're super cheap to replace. The sound is fantastic. It muffles just the right amount. So if someone needs to say something to me, I can hear it, but it blocks out most of the extra garbage sound that I don't want to hear when I'm streaming. So this is the best headset that I have ever used. And I mean, I keep looking, but I can't find anything that measures up to this. Also to note, you can see how I have my headset kind of hanging there and my ear pods are plugged in right now, but my wife 3D printed me this nifty little holder. So basically I have an extender for a 3.5 millimeter jack that's in there, and I can just plug and unplug at ease. One thing to note is I know a lot of people probably like wireless headsets and whatever, but if you're going to monitor your own voice, you need to use the actual 3.5 millimeter cables or whatever it is that goes into the analog. You can't really use that other stuff and monitor your sound correctly. So big fan of that, and absolutely love this edition where I can very easily switch what I'm using to listen. All right, now for the Stream Decks. I'm a big fan of the Stream Deck, as is anyone who streams. Super, super useful for controlling your stream while you're gaming, so you really don't have to do much clicking around into your computer. So here I have the Stream Deck Plus, which also helps with my audio. My specific audio setup is a little bit weird. I use the Rodecaster Pro 2, and this is my main sound mixing. It allows me to do the microphones up to 4 in the back there, and I do use up to 3 at a time. It allows me all sorts of different audio channels that I can adjust, different sounds that I can adjust, so I can have a lot of people on there. And this is my overall audio mixer, but I also use the audio mixing from this Stream Deck Plus. As you can see, I put games on there, I put the OBS sources on there, I put music on there, and that lets me dial those in really quickly without fiddling with these knobs. So I basically feed like the infinite streams that I can get from here into the Rodecaster, and from the Rodecaster into OBS for that sound. Now, the Stream Deck Plus only has 8 buttons, so it's not really doable. I've actually been trying it for a while and have it set up right now as my solo Stream Deck, but it just hasn't been working with only 8 buttons. It's just, you can't put enough functions on there. So the Stream Deck XL, I think, is a good call for that, although there is occasionally lag problems with this one, and I don't know why that is, but I've talked to other people and they've had it as well. Every now and then, I'll need to do like a restart because I'll press buttons and it will take a while for that to start up. Kind of weird, I don't know, but having the extra buttons is incredibly important. And now going down here, the most important of all, it is the Stream Deck pedal. This is how you skip annoying donos. Very important. You can do this while microing against zealots. For my microphone, it's a little bit boring because everyone basically uses the same thing. This is the Shure SM7B. It's just like the best microphone that you can get. And the only thing I ever have to do with this is occasionally replace this when it gets like too dirty or something. You know, that's it. And it's super cheap to do. Sounds absolutely fantastic. You can't beat it. The mic arm, this one is the Rode PSA 1 Plus. And the reason why I got this one is because, well, it had good reviews and everything, but it's super, super long. I have a very wide desk and I like to mount it on the side. I don't want it getting in the way. And I can just tuck it away super, super easy. One thing to note is this one is so strong, it has never budged when I was using it. I have used mic arms before where occasionally it'll droop. It doesn't matter what angle I put this thing at. It works perfectly every single time. I've been using this specific one for 3 years now, and I haven't had a single issue with it ever. Still works like it's brand new. All right, so I use the Rodecaster Pro 2 so that I can plug in more than one microphone. I actually got that quite a long time ago. You know, Tastes and I have been casting ASL together for a long time, and we started out with these mics. This is the Audio Technica BPH S1. This is like the perfect balance of quality versus cost. These headsets, like if you go about a step up from these, the headsets start costing like $1,000. These were like about $200, and I have 2 of these. So it's really nice because, for instance, Tastes and I have the exact same headsets that we'll cast on, so we just sound exactly the same during ASL as opposed to trying to balance completely different mics with different audio qualities to them. Also, if I have someone else over, oftentimes we'll each use one of these headsets so that our voices line up really well. It is a fantastic headset. It's not as comfortable as something like this. Its sound is not quite as good as something like this, but it is a fantastic balance for a headset. My chair is the FlexiSpot C7 Max Ergonomic Chair, another sponsor of this video. And it is an absolutely fantastic chair if you have to use your computer a lot. Let's take a look. So the headrest is unbelievably flexible. Look at this back. You can move it to any size to fit you just perfectly. Absolutely awesome. The lumbar support is second to none. This really makes a big difference compared to a lot of gaming chairs. Of course, you can make this seat as deep as you want, which is fantastic for adjustment. But the most adjustable thing are the arms. The arms are unbelievable. You can't not find exactly what you want as far as where you want the arms to go. We also have a very comfortable seat overall. Love this chair. Check it out. So let's talk about my monitors. I do a 3-monitor setup, as you can see. And this is a newer way that I've been doing it recently. It is way better this way. So this is my main gaming monitor. By the way, all 3 of these are BenQ monitors. And these 2 over here, I believe they're 24-inch. I got them as the standard back quite a few years ago, because that is what all the tournaments were using. These were the exact tournament monitors that basically every StarCraft tournament was using at the time. I like the size of them. It's fantastic. But I love having one monitor vertical. As you can see, it's awesome for like setting up multiple windows over here that I might need to check. Like I might have like moderation up here, shield battery servers down here, something like that. Obviously the middle is my play screen, and over here I keep OBS, where I can just kind of keep track of what's going on as far as like donos coming in, chat, what I'm showing on screen, all that good stuff. So yeah, I really like the 3-monitor setup. I think it works perfectly. One game, one the stream, and one the other information that you might need to have. For my camera, I use the Sony ZV-1. You can actually get higher end cameras, but then you start getting into lenses, and who wants to deal with that crap? This is the best camera that I can even imagine. I honestly like it better than a lensed camera that I've tried. It's super easy to set up, and it's so useful. Like occasionally I disconnect this to help film videos like the one you're watching right now. Obviously not this time, but it is just a badass. I've had it for so long, and it shows no signs of wear or tear. It works as well as the day I got it. Definitely, this was probably the biggest improvement that I ever did to my stream. Now, this next one isn't exactly like gear for the desk, but it's actually kind of important. First off, coaster. I just keep a coaster on my desk to put a drink on because I'm not an animal. But the second one is a little bit cooler than that. It was on there pretty tough. All right, this is from IKEA, like Landsparlen or whatever it is. And it just clamps onto a desk and it holds your drink. I can't tell you how valuable this is to me. It is amazing. I personally just put my water bottle in there, but as you can see, it has a hole so you can put a mug in there, like if you have a coffee or something like that. But the fact that this holds the drink off of my desk is saving me all the time. I can't tell you how much equipment I have destroyed by knocking a cup of water or coffee or juice or whatever it is over onto my electric equipment in the desk. You know, you're playing quickly, you lose to a rush, you act like a baby, you knock everything over, and then you have to buy a new keyboard. Don't do that anymore. This is a wonderful device, and I just keep it on the edge of my desk, and nothing's destroyed anymore, at least through my drinks. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed this little tour of my streaming and gaming setup. If there's anything here that you think that I could improve, I am really happy to hear it, so do leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.